Our sponsors for this episode are Hall's Tree Service. Locally owned and operated, Hall's Tree Service has been exceeding and surpassing customer demands in Newton and the surrounding area for over 40 years. Larry and his crew are guaranteed to work hard for you. There's no tree too tall, no job too small. Call Hall's at 316-772-1919. Absolute drain. Look, no one, and I mean no one, likes it when their sink, bathtub, washing machine, or especially their toilets start backing up. It's even worse when they won't drain or flush at all. No matter who you are, it happens to us all. If this is happening to you, then you need to give Garth with Absolute Drain a call. Absolute Drain is located at 420 West Broadway in Newton and has been faithfully serving Newton and surrounding areas for longer than I can even remember. I personally use Absolute Drain, and they have kept my pipes cleaned out and flowing day one. It might just be time for you to give them a call too at 316-283-7264. The Newton Kansan is Newton's longest-running local newspaper covering all the stories, people, places, and things happening in our community. Chad Fry, the Kansan guy, editor of the Kansan, works diligently to ensure integrity, accuracy, and unbiased news is delivered to your doorstep 3 times a week for an unbeatable price. You can also sign up for online-only access for around $7 a month. That's 12 online papers a month for only $7. If you've not subscribed, it's time you do. Visit them in their office at 517 North Main Street. That's 517 North Main Street in Newton. Online at thekansan.com. That's thekansan.com. Or give them a call at 316-283-1500. That's 316-283-1500. Support local journalism, support the Kansan. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this HCTalk podcast. As always, I'm your host, Lance Gormley, new, fresh, renewed, and ready to go for 2026. And we have Andy Ortiz, local entrepreneur and businessman, fresh and fit for 2026. And we have Chad Fry, the Kansan guy, editor of the Kansan paper, here to give an unregulated, unbiased opinion, as always.
Unbiased opinion.
How are you guys feeling
that's
today?
Not oxymoron. I don't know what isn't.
God, you can't take away from your brand, Chad. Come on now.
Yeah. I offer an educated opinion.
There you go. An educated
opinion.
Non-biased.
And if I don't have that research behind me, I'll let you know.
Well, one man's bias is another man's truth. So we'll just go with that, right? Won't we? And that's the way it's shaping up to look for 2026. So how has your guys' 2026 started off so far?
Freaking fantastic.
Now that the kids are back in school, it's awesome.
Yes, I was gonna say, boy.
Yeah,
3.5-year-old on the table. School is a godsend for me. I'll tell you that. For either party, either man or woman who becomes the full-time stay-at-home parent, God bless your soul. You know, that's obviously, I think, in many instances, underappreciated and not really, if you haven't been there and done that, you don't know. So,
well, it's just that structure that, I mean, for my kids, it's that they have that structure during the day. I'm working my butt off, folks. I can't be at home to provide structure for my kids right now. Yeah. And I hate that, but that is the reality of the situation. Because if I try and work from home, ain't no work get done.
You really work Saturdays too, though, right?
I work all the time.
Yeah. So that's I get the weekends most of the time, nowadays, and it's kind of nice. I get that wind down time, but you're going sometimes 7 days a week.
Yes.
Yeah, that's. Oof.
I think my record. And I didn't work full days every day. I'm just saying I worked on these days, but my record is 36 consecutive days. I worked on 36 consecutive days.
I want to preface on my weekends. I may be on the phone for work for about 4 hours on a Saturday, but it's chopped up in between little bits and pieces.
Exactly.
There is no rest. There's no rest.
Yeah.
I mean, in today's economy and society.
And I set that record before I started the whole community corrections thing. So I'm not counting, I'm not counting a Saturday, a Sunday on call where I might or might not end up in the office.
Yeah.
But when you serve in and if you're out there, if you're one of those people that serves in an on-call position, God bless you. Right. Because, you're the only ones that understand that when you're on call, it sits right here in the back of your brain and it controls you.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the deal.
I get a question. I mean, nowadays, is there any rest for anybody?
No.
I mean, I honestly think we are literally to the point in society where we are plugged in 100% of the time.
Because if we're not working, we're making ourselves busy.
Yeah. I'm trying to get better on Sundays. I'm trying. It's getting better.
Put the phone down.
But on Sundays, I try not to do anything outside of family on Sundays. And it's getting better. I still got work to do. But, we always have around the property chores that me and my son we spend some time together. But we're moving. We're pulling wood or clearing out something or burning a tree line somewhere or whatever, right?
Yeah, just maintenance.
It's always something.
So this whole thing, this is what prompted me to set, and I didn't do it on the first, but I have done it now. And I have set a New Year's resolution. For the first time in a really long time, because I want to change my mindset. And the way I want to change my mindset might actually be surprising to some people. Okay. And my mindset is that I want to change, the best. I don't have like one word to describe it, but it was revealed to me. Thank you. It was revealed to me during this whole conversation about what's going to happen and if they're going to be able to get somebody to manage the senior nutrition program sites. Because what you're talking about is somebody that needs to be able to work about 3.5 to 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. And the concern was that they weren't going to be able to do that for the money that was being offered. The stipend that was being offered by the CPAAA. And so they were going around looking for a match, basically, and more money, so that they could hire somebody and it would make sense. What was revealed to me about my mindset was that I kept going, it's $5,000. Could I justify it as a volunteer position? Could I step in there and help them? And this thought just hit me, and it hit me, and it hit me, and it hit me. And then it was, right after the first of the year, I was sitting down in my man cave during a rare respite, and my brain started spinning on that again, and I went, well, wait a minute. First off, you're working 3 jobs, so something's going to have to go if you're going to do this. And then my brain went, and why is it you always think that way?
I can just do more.
Why is it?
I have more time on my.
Can I jump in on that? Can I do that? And so often, I shut it down. So I want to change the mindset. And the mindset I want to change is that I don't want to be asking that question anymore. I don't want that to be my first reaction anymore.
Yeah, and I wonder, on that note, 2026 coming in, it's interesting. Chad gave a real life example about putting more on his plate. Andy made the comment about trying to make sure that going into 2026, family time's important, and maybe Sunday, making sure that Sunday is that day where you take that break. And it's funny because I was thinking the same thing, which is, okay, there's got to be a time, because I'm always online, right? The career is just all day long. Sometimes I look at the times that I'm on my phone and I'm like, how do you spend that much time on your phone? It's not just aimlessly scrolling something and vegging out and eating and consuming all of whatever the algorithms want to put in front of me. It's a lot of it has to do with production of videos, work, everything else. So it's like, I want to, for 2026, just find times to put the phone down, put it on silent, walk away, and do something different. So it's interesting that we all say that. Okay, so for those that want to know what's on tap for this podcast, we're going to talk about Kansas legislation to potentially ban cell phones in schools through K through 12. What are our thoughts on that? Trump captures or kidnaps, depending on how you look at it, Venezuelan President Maduro and wife. Is this legal? Not legal? What are your thoughts? NPR. I read something that I got clickbaited on. NPR is no more. But it doesn't mean that NPR is no more. It just means they're going to have to figure out a different way to get funding because they've been drastically cut by the federal government and no longer going to receive those funds. So
you're referring to the decision made by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Yeah, so be careful with what you read because it doesn't mean that one is no more. It means that they're not going to operate in the same way. Thoughts as far as is NPR or should have NPR been cut? And then what were the benefits, or have those benefits changed over time, and whether it really is a political wing or whatever the case may be. And then last, something that has come about that I have strong feelings on, obviously, because I'm a First Amendment guy, is Pete Hegseth might have bit off more than he could chew when it comes to him going after Senator Kelly for his comments that he made. And I don't know if you know what those comments are, but we'll get into that. And I was even reading a little more about what some of Trump's comments were in response to that. So without further ado, gentlemen, what are your thoughts on Kansas legislators potentially banning cell phones for students in the K through 12 public school system?
So what I read on this is what they want to do is they want to ban the use of cell phones by students during school hours.
So you walk in there at 8 a.m. or whenever your start time is, that phone goes off and you don't touch it again until you walk out the door at 3:10, 3 o'clock, whatever time it is that
Correct.
Your respective school system changes.
Correct. As a parent of 3, go for it. However, there is a caveat. There are some instructors that are using and even coaches is where it really goes nuts, but they are using cell phones in the classroom. So I want to make sure that as we progress down here through these conversations, you know, and the legislature needs to acknowledge that, and they need to protect that.
Okay, now I got a question, two-part question, and maybe Andy chime in. I don't know, with your age group of kids, I don't know if it's the same for the younger kids as it is for the older kids. But what can you do on a cell phone that you can't do on a laptop that you're given for instructional purposes? I don't know if there's a difference. And then 2, is it potentially, and I just thought about this, I don't know this, I haven't talked to any coaches or anything, or any teachers that want to utilize cell phones. You know, is it one of those things to try to combat something that's already happening? Therefore, if all these youth are going to be on their cell phones, then if I can capitalize on the usage of their cell phone while during school time, which is, well, we'll just get out our cell phones and we'll use our cell phones. So if you're using your cell phone for this purpose, then it's less likely, potentially, that you'll be using your cell phone or have the ability to use your cell phone for other purposes. What do you think, Andy? As a parent, I've seen a lot of comments on this now, and there's a lot of parents that are pissed that are saying, you better not take my child's cell phone away so I can't have contact with them throughout the day. And it's like, well, I remember a time pre-cell phone when if you as a parent wanted to reach out and contact your child, all you have to do is call the school.
Yeah, there's a lot there. And I can probably argue both sides of this to a certain extent because I have friends on both sides of this issue. The way I look at it is if you read, well, the data's in. It's horrible. Those parents that are fighting for their kids that have their phone have probably the same addictions their kids have to their phone. How it's attacking young girls is even worse. The data is out. If you read The Anxious Generation, there is no doubt on how detrimental the cell phones and social media and this device has been to our youth. When you're in school, the argument is, well, you had a question, can you access the same thing on your phone that you can on your device, mostly. The difference is with the school servers and the way those systems distribute information and what you're allowed to get into and not allowed to get into are different, and they're all monitored in a different way.
Interesting. Okay.
Versus a personal device, you can, as a school, filter that through. It's different. So let's just say your kid has a nude picture, or your daughter, of a man online that she's not supposed to have. She can share that with her friends, and the school would not be the wiser. Versus if you went through the school system and through the apps and things that are there, that's all been looked over, watched. There's ways to track it.
And even AI probably gets into that.
Absolutely.
If it's something that's flagged.
So there's a big difference, right, on distributing content one way or the other. I have heard the safety issue. There are some people that are schools that have spent upwards of $90,000 to have bags where the schools, we go in the classroom, each kid puts their phone in a bag, goes on the shelf until the bell rings, they get it and go on to the next class. There's been a lot of different things tried. And the big reason is that it's an issue, right? There's disciplinary issues, there's addiction issues. Everybody has it at different levels. And a lot of kids are passing time because there's a lot of dead time in class, right? Are they always using their phone for good things? And the answer, of course, is no. I mean, we're all people, right? We all have our different vices and our different things that we focus on. So, I mean, it's a pretty broad conversation. My feeling is I'm good with them not having it as long as they have access to it in case of an emergency. How they figure that out and how the system does that, neither here nor there. But I will tell you, they're going to go home and jump on that phone and be babysitted, most of our kids, by that most of the time.
Which is very sad.
It's the way the world is turning.
And interject this, how often do people utilize their social media or their device, cell phone, let's say, for educational purposes in general? And I'm a firm believer that I watch data and I look at it and I research it. I would say probably about 85% of the time, people that are utilizing a device, whether it be an iPad or a cell phone or whatever feature fits your fancy, they're not using it to educate themselves. I mean, that's where we get brain rot. We've got people that are just watching aimless, mindless garbage that is there to attract you, and they know what they're doing, right? I mean, AI does it. It automatically knows what it is that people are going to be looking at, and then you have brain rot that factors into it. Plus, I was reading an article just the other day that talked about the newer apps. Everything is a minute or less. Everything's a minute or less. So what's happening is brains are getting trained to only be able to consume these very small bites of information, whatever that information it is. Generally speaking, like we said, is not good, then, or not educational, then it's training people's brains to not be able to process and retain information. I mean, you're getting 100,000 different bombardments of things per day, and then your ability to retain 10% of that is next to nothing. It's going somewhere.
So, one of the popular things for people to do when something like this comes up is go, well, when I was in school, and talk about their old high school.
Yeah.
But I'm going to talk about my old high school. I'm going to talk about Hillcrest Academy. That's what it's called now. Of Kelowna, Iowa. Which banned cell phones for all of their students last year.
You can't even bring it to school.
If you bring it to school, it's put in a protective case, it's put in the office, and you will be given that phone back when you return home. If you decide to hide it in your backpack and it comes out during the school day, it is confiscated. They went hardcore with this.
Have they seen positive results?
As a matter of fact, they have. Student engagement is up.
In a year.
Student socialization is up. Not only in a year, it was within a semester they could see these changes.
Wow.
Improved psychological well-being of their students. Okay, the high school counselor saw a reduction in how many kids they were trying to counsel through depression. In a semester.
It's kind of an access to more bullying.
The math teacher
thought that could be one negative aspect of it.
The math teacher started seeing increased scores because kids were actually engaged in class. And that was all in 3 months. Great quote from the now former principal. Dwight, seriously, you needed to stay till you died. Dwight Gingrich said,
like a trooper,
I feel like this has been very good for our school. And here's the key point. It feels like there is more energy and more joy in our halls. Now, this is a private school that, I mean, I was in one of the biggest senior classes ever at 47. So we're not talking about a big school, folks. We're talking about a small school. And they didn't add, 6th, 7th, 8th grade until this century. So it is a small school. I think we see our students mingling, talking, engaging with each other much more. It is great to see them involved with ping pong and board games or chatting with each other in the library and putting puzzles together. All of those things feel good to us. Well, all of those things are a substitution for creating brain rot.
Well, and I think there's something to say too, like when you get into interpersonal relationship skills, there is a certain amount of, I'm going to call it dopamine, because that's what it is, right? Through personal connection and contact. So one student to the next student who's playing a board game, the brain might not be able to differentiate as much as we might think from that like or that share or that comment on your stuff. And I wonder, big tech, will big tech push back? And then yes or no? Okay, here's the question for you guys. Yes or no, before we move on to the next subject. Should it be the state legislature's responsibility to mandate that, or should it be left up to local school boards to determine what they think is in the best interest from their students go?
I don't know what the liabilities look like on the backside for people, the libertarian types, which I have a lot of that in me, frankly. That's why I do what I do for a living, because I have a lot of that in me. I just don't like anybody telling me anything, unfortunately. I have a little bit of an issue with authority sometimes. And that's one of my things, right? That's a personal deal. So, and I have friends that are going to be really pissed off about this because they're very libertarian. They're very just no government, no nothing, no oversight. Let people do what they do. I think there's a limit to that. So will the local school board get in trouble or get a lawsuit filed against them without any top cover at some level, which is the world we live in? And that's why you see the government getting involved in so much crap, because there has to be some kind of a thing where they can point up.
Yeah, state of Kansas can litigate something like that.
Yeah, real quick. A lot differently than taking on a local school board that has insurance, that's going to be scared, that have people that don't understand the process, even though they act like they do, sitting there, not able to coach through how this really works when in the real world, in the world that's people like myself, it's on us. When we get into lawsuits, we have to pay for those things, and we have to calculate what are you willing to pay for and what are you not willing to pay for.
Interesting.
Basically, on a low level, it's how many tens of thousands of dollars are you willing just not to go after because it's going to cost you more to go get it than it is to actually get that money back when you're involved in a deal or a contract. So you have these things you have to weigh, and in a school district and as a community, you're protecting the system. You're protecting the community from a $500,000 lawsuit because the insurance costs and things that people say, how does it cost so much to run a school district when you can run private school Joe Blow over here at this much? Well, there's a lot of things that we have to deal with that school doesn't have to deal with. Yeah. A lot of expenditures we have to carry that they don't have to worry about.
You don't have to even accept students that have issues.
And then there's no repercussions against that. We are mandated to do a lot of things that we have to do. And if we do those things wrong, even within that, there's sharks swimming amongst us, looking for us to slip up or trying to make us slip up so they can sue us, because that's how they live, right? That's their big hit. They look for those opportunities, and we have to deal with that, and that's okay. But my question would be, what are the liabilities? How do we cover ourselves from not having eventually somebody going and saying, I'm going to sue you, and has a little bit of money to do that, to make a point or to get a settlement, whatever that could look like. So if the state mandates it, that puts that whole different deal under a different group and different pockets and different budgets, where the local school district can act on it in a way that, you know, they can be more confident moving forward. Now, the jury is out on, is it bad for kids to have your cell phones all the damn time? I mean, the data is, you can't dispute the data and what's come back from studies. And we've only got probably 15 years of studies baked in, but that's plenty of data to say the trend is real, right? When you're talking about one of our biggest issues with the school district is, you know, when people go to jobs, interpersonal skills. Well, a lot of that's due to the cell phones and digital media and people trying to figure this thing out. It's no doubt that our kids will blow us away. And I'll have an example academically and brain-wise, because people talk trash on this generation. They better be careful. These kids are smart.
Oh, yeah.
They will run circles around most of us all day long. And just like that athlete that's talking trash on the kids and how weak they are and how stupid they are and how they don't get things, well, that athlete in that class, that's the top athlete in that group, would whip your ass all day long in whatever sport you think you were good at, just to compete at the levels of those kids that are playing ball today. And as an NAIA guy, we have that Bethel College connection, Chad. We had some studs on our teams growing up, right? We had those guys that should have been maybe D1 ball players that we got to hang out with and we got to appreciate in their athletic abilities. But a lot of us were just above average.
Well,
just with the passion for sport.
We had guys, and you know, I'll be honest. You know, when I was covering high school sports, I would identify kids and be like, yep. They were always the best everywhere they went, and they never recognized that I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are and how good you've been. You will face somebody bigger, faster, and stronger.
Yeah.
You will.
Yeah, because that group just gets more and more selective.
And yes, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Well, and my whole point is if you go to an NAIA basketball game at Bethel College now and look at their 11 guys that are suited up that night, and they have more in the wing, by the way.
Oh yeah, they have a full developmental program.
It's unbelievable, and they're hitters. Those 11 guys are like what a D1 player would have been when I was coming up. All of them. And yet you got this has-been, like me, talking trash about these weak people, this weak generation that would have whipped our ass.
Yeah, better.
I would not have been questionable. It's just because I have a little bit of pride in me on the field today with these athletes. So that just goes to show you the level of these new generation that people talk trash on. Get out of your own head and appreciate them for what talents they have. They're the ones we have to count on to take this thing forward. They're going to do amazing, great things. We have some things to work out, but I believe in them so much. They freak me out, man. They're so talented.
Well, and I gotta say,
this generation's going to be the one that cures cancer.
Oh man, they're going to do so much.
They might, and I hope you do, cure ALS. And these are things that have stumped us all for a long time.
They're in classrooms out there right now, developing and building and growing. You know, the Wyatt Hendricksons of the world is a generation people called weak. Well, good luck with that, doing that to his face, people.
Well, I tell you this, and I'll go with this.
And he's a teddy bear, but he would whip your ass.
And
he's a great human.
And I'll go back to this, and I don't understand, and I'm just going to make this statement and then repose the question to Chad so we can move on to the next topic. But I'm a people watcher, right? I study people and ego. I often say ego is a crafty deceiver. And there's no end to people right now. And I don't know what it is that's causing it. I wish I could get to the bottom of it, right? But people, the armchair quarterback is in full swing. I mean, you've got people walking around like they could beat everybody in the room up, and they've never been in a fight a day in their life. You've got people that are mediocre at best, and something is causing them to not see themselves or view themselves with the humility that's required for emotional, spiritual, and physical development. everybody's a baddie, everybody's a badass, everybody can fight even though they've never been a fight in the day in their life. They walk around peacocking like they've got the best, the biggest, the brightest, the everything, and then you go and you see their life. Okay, the cell phone thing, before I hand it over to Chad and we move on. My kid, being as crafty as he is, when there would be a situation at Newton High School where you're not allowed, and he's no longer there, so I can bust him out for this. But he's like, "Oh, you want to take my cell phone?" So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go buy this $50 cell phone from Walmart, and when you ask for my cell phone, I'm just going to give you that one, and I still have my cell phone. So
hand him the burner.
Hand him the burner. Yeah. So no ideas here, but
yeah. Well, okay. That wouldn't work at Hillcrest Academy because the moment your phone comes out, somebody's taking it.
Yes. Okay. So quickly, Chad, legislature's responsibility, local responsibility.
Unless local is willing to take the responsibility, which it has demonstrated in this case it is not, then the legislature needs to.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay, and straight up, that's a constitutional statement.
Okay, and fair enough. We'll move on to this subject. Okay, real quick.
Liabilities,
real because we have two other topics that are going to take some time. But real quick, speaking of government responsibility, right? We talked about, let's say, cell phones, whether it's the state legislature's responsibility to mandate policy that the school districts have to abide by. It's not too much of a transfer, but what is government's responsibility, right? And so then when it comes to NPR, not
with
saying
or without insurance companies and lawyers behind it.
Well, I tell you, man.
Because that is the formula.
That's the formula.
That's the formula we need to bust out. We dance around eggshells, but the majority of the communities that we're speaking to right now don't understand that piece.
Yeah.
Unless you've owned and operated your own system or you've been in a C-suite in a company, you don't understand that.
Yeah.
It's easy to take your own life perception when your company's handling everything on the backside and think you could negotiate all these things out without any repercussions. But it's not that easy.
No.
So just prefacing.
No. Okay.
Insurance and lawyers always getting away.
Yeah.
Big time.
Well, and you know, maybe
layers
sorry, Joe, you're getting away.
You guys have just, I'm going to say nothing whatsoever about any attorney or anything like that. You guys could deal with that.
Oh, he's a great guy. He knows
But yeah, you know.
And sometimes he says that himself, you know.
So
they know.
Taking this situation, right, I do believe that federal funding or funding from the government was necessary in the past for the situation that we found ourselves when it came to public broadcasting, right? There used to be a time when you'd get like 5 channels and, you know, one of them happened to be like in our neck of the woods, KPTS, but it was a public broadcasting systems production. So to say that there wasn't a need for that in the past and maybe there's not so much now, or whatever the case may be, is it or should it be the government's responsibility? And do you think that the government should support productions like PBS?
Here's the problem. The government, while it was funded, and it was not 100% funded that way, and it never was. Oh, and by the way, I actually worked for a public radio station.
Oh, we can't call Chad unbiased on this one, can we?
So, hey, I was all the way at the bottom of the tree, man. You know,
I think dollars.
I think over the course of time, my entire on air time was like 4 minutes. I mean, I was all the way at the bottom of the tree.
I think I remember that, Chad. There's got to be an archive somewhere from that.
Well, if you like, this is Chad Fry. You're listening to KHCC, Hutchinson, Salina.
Love it.
Today's weather. Okay, but anyway, beside the point. The funding was not 100% from the government. It never was. And the problem was that we allowed that to then become politicized. Okay? And You know, I'm no big fan of the Teletubbies, but doggone it, Jerry Falwell, back off. I mean, seriously. If we believe that there are public airwaves and they need to be controlled by the public, then yes, government needs to be funding those persons making use of the public airwaves. And by the way, government needs to stand by constitutional principles and just keep their hands off of it. There you go.
All right, Andy?
I was looking at percentages, so I didn't even listen, unfortunately, because I just go to the PBS is the one in question here. And I want to go to
NPR.
NPR. Okay. Yeah. NPR. Yeah, that's what I put in. And they're connected to other little shoots and all that.
Yeah.
So you go over that conglomerate and you look at the percentage of left-leaning content that distributes. And I want to take this back. So people will talk about and beat up the education system, especially conservatives, right? And I am a conservative individual. And so I'm kind of been watching this for a while. And you look at, a lot of people don't know that like 98% of the funds from the school board associations and the what you would call them, the unions go to the Democratic Party, and they throw forums where Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are the main speakers in Chicago, and we have all these people going from all over the country, and they say it's not political, right? This is part of the problem, where these funds are going in these public institutions that are kind of controlling the political narrative within these organizations. When you look at these Ivy League schools, and 99% of Yale staff is Democrat, and you think people are getting a balanced education in that system, that's a problem. That also goes to public funding. If public funding in half of your public communities are not that way, why are we all spending money to get propagandized on channels that are distributing content only for, or the majority of that content for one side? And you can almost look at these channels and watch their interviews and see how they're slanting them to demonize certain groups or certain people or certain ways of living that frankly I choose to live by, and it bothers me. That's why I don't watch those channels. So if you go to the YouTube channel, right, if you just go look at NPR and you go to the YouTube channel and you look at the titles and you look at the headlines of what they're distributing, just do your own homework. By doing that, it takes you 30 seconds probably to look some of that up. And then you're going to have your spoofers and your resources that are trying to cover that up. And you got this mess online, right? But you got to learn how to sift through some of this stuff, right? And your algorithms also have something to do with that. Just FYI, if it's harder for you to find, it's probably because your algorithms are slanted. And these are just natural things that some of us, we understand it because we're on the backside of this stuff, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
And so I think I have a problem if we're not fair in delivering content through a public organization that's supposed to be neutral. And they're saying they're neutral, but their content is not, right? And this is where we're having issues with funding things. And nobody wants to take responsibility for the other side of that conversation on either political side.
Sure.
They don't want to have the talk. It's just you're bad and you're done. It's not how do we recover this and then talk, because both sides are so dug in. They just rather just kill all this stuff rather than build it back to what it should be and have a narrative or a conversation where you invite both parties to your channel and have an open discussion with somebody like Patrick Bet-David, who could interview both and let you speak for who you are, maybe challenge both on both sides, and then let the public think what they want to think.
Agreed.
That is a dying breed.
Yeah, it is dying breed. And you know, when you're a private entity, it's one thing, because in many ways, dissemination of information has come to a point, I think, in history where you know, they can say whatever they want, put whatever spin they want on it. But it's also coupled with a situation that I think, once again, go back to why people think the way they think. And a part of that is people don't think, they consume. So we go full swing back to this,
so
having
question,
critical thinking.
What was the question
skills.
again?
The question is, should entities like NPR be given tax dollars to operate or offset costs
So my feedback would be, as long as they're being neutral and honest about it, which that's not happening, because there have been CEOs and stuff fired around that organization because of how nasty the lies are, and then they lie about the lie, and then they just resign and blame everybody else. Kind of like what's going on in Minnesota with Tim Walz right now. Well, he's not running again.
I'm going to say something a little inflammatory here.
Uh-oh. Chad's getting inflammatory.
If we're gonna discuss NPR specifically, the federal government is the tail wagging the dog.
Depending on who's in power.
No, when it comes to funding, they are the tail wagging the dog. NPR receives 1% of their funding from the federal government.
But if that's the case, then how come NPR is coming out and saying that it's going to make it extremely difficult for them to continue?
It's because that's the national level. At the local level, that funding source is more around 8 to 10%.
So it may be, but I like your comment about the tail wagging the dog.
Yeah, because, I mean, straight up, if you want to have that much, if you want to have say, I mean, straight up, it's the same. This is the same thing that as the publisher of a privately funded newspaper, that I have said to people in this community. Okay, I get it, I understand, and you're running a business, but understand what you have control over in my newspaper. It starts and stops and is limited to what you pay for. Okay? So that ad space that you buy, you have complete and total control.
So
but everything else, no, you do not. So that's why I make that statement when we're talking about NPR at the national level. The government, the federal government, is the tail wagging the dog. And if you don't want to be treated like the tail wagging the dog, then you better take a look at what you're spending and what you're supporting. And we can go through this dog and pony show of we're going to pull the funding because we don't like what they're well, guess what? Guys like me look at that because I'm in the media business. I'm looking at that going, 1% of the funding. Yeah, okay, fine. Be upset. See you later.
Well, and then, okay, so speaking of the tail wagging the dog, the next thing that I want to go on to while we're talking about government and spending is Trump capturing or kidnapping Venezuelan President Maduro and his wife, okay? Which I don't think we've seen the end of this by any stretch of imagination.
Absolutely not.
And I don't know how deep I want to get into this because I'm researching it, knowing that until we were bombing drug boats that were coming out of Venezuela in an effort to bring narcotics to our country or to transport narcotics. Now, I'm totally for that. I said that on the program before, right? If we have credible information to say that this criminal entity and enterprise is manufacturing or transporting narcotics and they're wanting to bring them to the U.S. or there's a potential for that to be the case, blow them up, okay? Now, I've also said, and I stand on this, okay, if we really want to stop the influx of narcotics into our country, we have got to control our own borders. And by controlling our borders, what I'm saying is line the U.S.-Mexico border with the military. Line the Canadian-U.S. border
You're alluding to the dirty little secret that we're getting more drugs through the Mexican border than any other border in the world.
Well, and see, this is where I didn't want to get too deep.
They're shifting to Canada now, though.
And then they're shifting to Canada because where there's a will, there's a way, right? Yep. So then that goes back to what I'm saying. The way we solve this, have a robust Coast Guard and Navy on each coast, and nothing gets in.
Fix the McBroom boat.
And nothing gets out. Okay? Nothing gets in and nothing gets out.
Because
truly, the only thing that we really do have control over is our own borders. That's it. And we've continued to go down this path. And Venezuela, I don't think, is very high. In fact, I've done some research, and what it has alluded to is that there are many other countries that are a much greater priority to the securing and safety of the drug trade that eventually finds its way across the globe and into our country.
I think it was the easiest target for us to be bullies on. And we have that kind of administration right now, and he's sending a message, and it's very clear that, you know, everybody knows the land of Pablo Escobar is not too far away. And this was, and you know, I can get crazy with this thing. I have, frankly, thank God, people died, but they were guys from Colombia, actually, I think is where his bodyguards were from, that it died when they went in to grab him and his wife, which is interesting, right? Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Then you have the president of that country threatening to take out Trump, for sure. Like if he could, he would, for sure, because they're cartel people. Everybody that knows that. The president of Mexico is not running Mexico, just for you people that don't know that. That's just not how that works, just to be honest.
Well, same with Colombia. Same with a lot of these.
So this is a shot across the bow, right? And I can go as crazy as to go, I don't even know nowadays that it's not a CIA thing.
well, we have proven in the past that a lot of these drug...
Well, I mean, imagine if the CIA was like, hey, we're going to come rip you out because we have to do this show and dog and pony dance because we got these oil things going on and we got to protect our region and China and Russia. We got to make this all look a certain way.
Well, yes, and it goes back to this.
I'm crazy like that. Like, I don't trust nobody.
Well, look at the oil. Look at the oil.
We just seized
natural resources.
They just seized more oil, this morning?
Yes, yeah, and not only that, but thinking about it from this perspective, when you get into global politics,
it's crazy.
Okay, two of the main recipients of Venezuelan oil export was Russia and China.
1,000%.
And so if this is, I'm all for America has the greatest military on the face of this earth, and we can go anywhere.
We did a good job,
and we can go anywhere, and we can rock their world.
We snatched them out in like half an hour or something crazy.
But okay, and is that and I got to test my own thoughts here. Okay, is that American exceptionalism? Am I drunk on that? Where I think to myself, we went to Iraq and Afghanistan for 20 years, and when we left,
trillions of dollars.
Yes, and when we left, we made no change. Then we can continue on. Let's go back to Vietnam and talk about the spread of communism across the globe.
What you're alluding to is our success rate in regime change.
Yeah, which is piss poor.
Right?
100%.
Right.
So, you know,
and this one is just blatant.
Yes, this one's we're going to go in and steal your oil.
It's just blatant.
Yeah.
So before we try to be nice about it, and then Trump is Trump, right? That's what, and again, all those people that are 100% Trump, I like a lot of what he's doing. I just don't like how he goes about doing it. And this one I can live with. What I'm nervous about is the next steps.
Yeah. Well, then that goes back to who's able to exploit our nation.
A statement that I made on this program months ago. Where's the red line?
There's not one, I don't think.
Where's the red line? And for me personally, it got crossed. It absolutely got crossed. I don't care for what definitions everybody's throwing around on this thing. What did we do? We bombed a capital and we took a leader. That sure sounds like war to me.
Well, and if it's not I mean, you know,
we snatched up a drug cartel leader. Is what we did.
Yes.
Yeah, he was a leader, but the way he did that, and is that our business? No, but we made it ours because he was threatening us, and he is killing hundreds of thousands of. He's a part of killing hundreds of thousands of Americans, young Americans, and he was a part of transporting fentanyl and other drugs to the U.S. This was even in the Biden administration. They raised the bounty up on him, and Trump raised it more because he wants to one up everybody.
Yeah.
And he just decided to go snatch him up. And with the global politics, again, I called 4 friends that I have from Venezuela. A couple of them have been here for quite some time. One of them owns their own business in Wichita. A couple of them are pretty new within the last 10 years. All of them are okay with the move. They're all scared about the next steps.
Yeah, and because this is the
unintended consequences. As a people, one of them was crying with me on the phone, saying, basically, I'm an American, but I'm so grateful that this happened because my grandma is beside herself because she thought she was going to die and never know a possibility for a free Venezuela again. That was pretty cool, right? This was real emotion, and this was right the next morning. I was like, damn, I want to know what the people think. Screw what I think.
Right.
But everybody's afraid about the next step. I said everybody that I have in my little 4 people circle of influence, but looking at the TV, you don't know how media is trying to manipulate it. I don't know any of these things. They could literally, for all I know, pay a group of people $20 a piece to get thousands of people in a little group and scan it with a camera, because that's what they do.
Yeah, it is.
They do that.
Or
Democrats and Republicans, by the way,
and there's
people.
Reports too.
Mostly Democrats, but Republicans do it too.
And some of this video footage is actually not even people in Venezuela.
Isn't that crazy?
I mean, it's
Spain and other places.
PSYOP type stuff. Okay, so then
they say they're Venezuelans though.
Yeah, they're but
because the protests on the other side right now are saying there are Venezuelans in those protests, and real Venezuelans are going into those groups, and there's nobody to be found. And somebody's saying, I'm from Venezuela, and they said, where are you from? Because they're from there, and they don't know. Right. And it's like, yeah, you're bullshitting too.
Yeah, so then what's the need?
So there's this big mess going on. I don't know what's real. It looks like to me the majority of their people are excited about the possibility, and so am I.
Yeah.
And screw a narco, drug terrorist, jerk off son of a gun like Pablo Escobar. He just happened to become what they call president, right? Which is disputed by 60 other countries or whatever. And they're going to, just like they had the notes from Biden's laptop, right, against Trump, that all these people said that that's not a real laptop, right? But then Junior's coming out saying there was not even a laptop. You know, you got all this crap. I don't know who to believe anymore, because I don't believe any of them. And I think the R and the hard R and the hard D's are all full of shit in my world now. I want to know about reasonable people in the middle. I don't know what's going on in Washington. I'm not going to pretend to, because again, it's so sick. One of the books I just read like 6 months ago, to realize the facts are on the table and the data's out there, and every news station should be asking the questions of how the hell did our CIA take part in assassinating one of our presidents? That to me broke me.
Well, and you go back to the
so I don't know what's real anymore, other than I know that those people are legitimately happy, and I'm worried that the next steps, even though maybe good intentions right now, don't go that way. I want to tell you a little story about Mexico. There was a town in Mexico that the drug cartels were just owning it. All the people there were getting controlled. Well, these people eventually got sick and tired of it. And these, like out in, little town, almost call it a village, they came together and they squashed them and got them out of there. But guess what happened about 3 months later?
A different drug cartel.
That same group ended up spinning up and taking over and doing the same damn thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't even know anymore.
Well, and then it goes back to this. Okay, 2 things. CIA, right? What we know 40 years after what they do, like placing the crack in certain neighborhoods in order to decimate a group of people.
Barry Seal.
Or
all the way to Reagan.
CIA utilizing psychedelic chemicals to try to take and see how you could brainwash people. It's not
a conspiracy.
Right, not a conspiracy.
It happens.
It was a conspiracy, but then we find out, oh, well, we were right all along. That's and here's the evidence to prove it. And we're done. We're on to the new thing. And it's just continuous, right? Another thing is, once again, I am all for and believe without a shadow of a doubt that all of our military personnel, and our military is the greatest
1,000%
on the face of this earth. But I also know that it only takes one person or a small group of people to exploit the freedoms that we have in this country to jump up and put a licking on us real fast, real quick. It's like I'm not alluding to America being a bully here, but I'm just going to use this analogy. You got the 6'7", 300-pound beast of a man. Right? It still only takes one good, clean shot to the chin before your anatomy takes over and it's lights out. So, last thing, because we are getting short.
Sorry. I hope we really discussed that the right way, but
we discussed it the way we've.
And for the record, I'm glad those people seem happy now, and I pray.
I hope
that things get better. My fear is the cancer is so bad on both sides and all around the world with power and ego and self-preservation, that this ends up being right back where we were with all of this energy expended and nothing better.
Yeah.
And we do not have a very good track record when it comes to regime change.
No, we don't. We don't.
I mean, we don't.
That hurts,
where
but it's true.
Where there's a vacuum
I
created.
think it right now it feels like, and feelings are bullshit. It was done with good intentions. I don't know what the result will be.
Well, there's something about this.
I'm hoping.
I gotta say, there is something about this regime, if we'll call it this, that we have in America right now, and it's that if I have to hear one more time, and I'm gonna have to hear it over and over and over again, I'm sure we're doing it for the children. I'm going to puke. Okay, so moving on. Last topic, if we've got to keep it very short, unless we want to boot this off to next week, but just wanting to get your guys' thoughts on this, okay? Pete Hegseth. I don't know if you guys have got here. So maybe we'll do this, okay? Because we are getting short. So we'll cover this at the beginning of the program next week. How about that? Maybe there'll be some more information.
Get some time to look into it.
But I just want to throw this out here, okay? So far, what we know is that Senator Kelly, who was elected in 2020, who's actually the husband of Gabby Giffords, who is a senator who is the individual that got shot by somebody and is permanently going to have to deal with that the rest of her life. He was also he's a captain in the military, retired, and he decided as an elected official that he would go out with a group of other elected officials who are all in the military. Were in the military and are now retired. A lot of brass, we'll just say that. War heroes, people that served our country in a way in which was valiant and respectable, and now have moved on and are in these elected officials' position. They put out a video that said and encouraged the individuals who are currently serving in the military that they should not adhere to a order that was unlawful. Now, on the face, and this is where I think there was a trap set, to be real honest with you, because the more I'm getting into this here, the more I realize, well, you can infer a lot, right? You can infer a lot as to what they're saying, but you have to take it on the face. And the face is that I'm a firm believer at this point in time that there was nothing wrong with these individuals coming out and saying that if you are a serving military person right now, that you should remember that you do not have to follow an illegal order, and that's no excuse, right, whatsoever. We learned this during the Nuremberg trials, right? Nazis following orders doesn't mean you're not guilty for doing it, right? So we hold ourselves to this standard, and that if you're ordered to do this, right, and it's and you believe it's unlawful, that you're responsible for following the order if you carry the order out. But there's that double-edged sword as well, where you really can't not follow an order. It's not up to you to choose whether or not it's legal or not. So study this, folks. Look at this, because there's people that are getting really up in arms about this stuff right now. Okay,
so you can go far with that.
Yes, there's a lot of directions this can go. You can go free speech if you want to. You can go,
if you don't want to follow orders, don't be in the military.
Well, yeah, and then there's my gut that says, okay, we've got a former National Guardsman who is taking on a former captain who flew 39 combat missions
and was a NASA commander.
Yeah. Well, I mean, seriously, I mean. I understand one of those people is now the Secretary of Defense, but you pull that title off of him and let's take a look at rank. Who should be talking to who?
See, and that's something that's being talked about right now as well. I mean, there's a whole. This will be a subject for next week. I do think something's very interesting is Trump's comments, and I thought I had it in here, but Trump reacted furiously to the comments that were made, right, against him as he sees it, and then this was what he said. Okay, so if we're going to split hairs over what's being said, Trump took to Truth Social and said that this is seditious behavior punishable by death. He also reposted another Truth user who wrote in part, hang them. Hang them. Kill them. Kill them. It's seditious. Now free speech or saying something that might not necessarily be in line with this.
I think it's free speech plus their positions too. That matters, right? I mean, it does matter.
The guy's retired, and they're going after his retirement. They're bringing, in fact,
yeah,
they're taking him.
Where do you set precedent when people act an ass, and when do you make people just know their place? If you're gonna be involved, be involved. If not, just get out of the way. And I think there's just too many games being played, because it's all gamesmanship, and that's why we're talking about it. And they did their job; they made us talk about it. When it's pretty ridiculous. They're just doing everything and anything they can to undermine everything. And the blues and the reds are both pretty much the extreme people at the same place, where there's nothing one can do for the other one not to agree that it's decent. And there's that saying, right? Trump could cure cancer and people would find a way to be pissed about it. And that's true for some people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it is, right? There's some people that will never ever let themselves see anything decent about anything that goes on.
Yeah, and there's also the other side, Andy, and we got to wrap it up here, so we got to be quick with our final words. But
well, and some people will never see Obama has done nothing wrong.
Yes,
ever.
Yes,
could not.
Yes, and that goes back to your comment about people on the extreme left and the extreme right. Extremism will be the death of us. Okay, final words.
It's hurting us now.
We'll pick up next week on the Pete Hegseth thing, and as that comes to
there'll be more next week.
There'll be more. So what do you got? Final words, gentlemen.
Final word.
Final word.
Final word. On Tuesday, Harvey County did the right thing. And they saved the senior nutrition program in our county.
I thought you were going to say something else.
I know you did.
I've told on that line.
I know you did.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
I know you did.
You got me.
And there's, I'm sure there's more than one human being out there watching who are like, what? No, they saved the senior nutrition program, and it was the right thing to do. I sat on this program and said what I would do if I were a county commissioner in that situation, and they went and did it.
That's cool.
Good.
So
kudos.
I'm really happy that occurred, because that is one place that is one thing we just wanted to make sure we did not lose.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Andy?
Free Venezuela. I hope this is a good thing for them. I don't know where it's going. I'm actually okay with what happened for me. I don't know enough about what's going on the backside to know if it was right or wrong. I just think the big picture from what I'm seeing from the people and the 4 friends that I have that are actually from there, that are born there, that left there, and the feedback I got from them, they're a little nervous. They're not sure if this could be pulled over. And again, I worry that they're going to end up, sometimes grass is not always greener on the other side. Like, look at Saddam and that whole deal, and what ended up happening, the trillions of dollars that were spent for what, and where are they at now with Taliban running around the streets over there? So what is that, right? I don't know what that is, but you're right, Chad. I think the track record we have is not great, unfortunately. I think we go into things, and the majority, I believe all our soldiers go in with the right intentions, right? Until we put them through hell, and then they don't even take care of them when they come back. But that's a whole another side note. But I want something. I want a win for them. I want a win for those people, and I want to be proud of. I am proud of my country, and I know we try to do a lot of good things, and we fumble a lot, but at least we're trying. And I hope this turns out to be a win, because we have so many failures, and we've hurt so many people trying to do the right thing. And so I'm a little concerned about the follow-up, but I'm overall hopeful, but optimistic. That's wearing on me.
Yeah. Sad. Just say this: doesn't matter what side you're on. Speaking about the extremism of the left and the right, just remember this, folks. Okay, if you have a leader of your group or your organization, and you believe this goes for everybody. This is left. This is right. Okay, and you believe that they can do no wrong. and nothing that they can do is wrong, and you are with them lock, step, and barrel, you're part of a cult. Have a good one, everybody.
You don't know my guy.
You just don't know my guy. My guy. This is my guy.
My guy. You don't know my guy, Lance. My guy's as pure as the winter snow.